myself.
Okay. Okay. Hi, this is Namisam T, and this is part of our CAM Digitization Assignment 1. And here for our interview, we have
Letlotlo Manake from UJFM. I'm a news anchor as well as a co-host.
Thank you for being with us today and agreeing to do this interview with us. So we have some questions about digitization and basically how it has affected and impacted how you guys run your show and how it's affected the studio overall. In your experience, how has digitization and the use of social media, online streaming and mobile technology changed the way your radio station engages with its audience?
I'd say before, back in the day, when social media wasn't such a big thing, I think it became such a big thing in the 2010s. People would engage with the radio directly. So people would call in and, even sitting in their groups in their cars, they would interact with the presenter, without the presenter even knowing that they were. Whereas right now, I'd say listeners would rather view clips in post. And they can, because most clips are recorded. They can find the clips from in studio, the best moments from in studio on our Instagram, on our TikTok, so they don't need to be active listeners. And also now they can just WhatsApp in. They don't have to call in. They can shoot a text, and when we're doing giveaways and competitions, it's really live on air. It's usually just through votes, maybe on an Instagram poll or responses. And I think that's changed that aspect.
And how have you been able to balance your audience that relies on the traditional media, like the actual radio, compared to your audience that is mostly online?
Our audience, mostly online, is students. It's rare that students are our primary listeners on air. We generate about 30 to 40,000 listeners a month. And most of them are just regular Joburg commuters, so it's your working folk, it's your, it's other people who live in Joburg. It's not really the students. Students are like moving around constantly, and most of them don't have a car. I don't think they have time to be listening to the radio. But you can download the UJFM app and listen from there, and that's where those students listen from. Those are our social media users. They engage with us more on platforms, whereas our regular listeners listen to us live on air, and because of that, I'd say we cater most of our content to them. So we're not talking too much about maybe what's happening right now on campus or whatever. Maybe that will be like a small segment of the show, but we're talking more about what's happening in our surroundings. Okay, maybe there's a new pool that opened up, maybe there's a pothole you should be aware of, so that's how we bridge that gap.
Thank you. What role do you think the radio station should play in educating communities about being digitally literate?
I can tell you one way we do. On my show on Insights, we have UJ staff and the UJ community come in for interviews, and we do often interview the cybersecurity department here by Stanley. That's where they work, and they come and they tell us how we can be more digitally savvy, how we can protect ourselves against threats, and I think that's just imparting a bit of that knowledge onto them. And we don't shy away. There's other shows I know where they have features about it's like a Tech Tuesday or something of the sort, where they just inform on the latest updates in technology, on the latest communication mediums. So I think we do our part in contributing towards bridging that digital divide between students who have access to that type of information and students who don't. It's better to hear it live on air from another student.
Thank you. What opportunities and challenges has media convergence, the merging of traditional platforms and digital platforms, created for your work and for the sustainability of community media in South Africa?
I think now we can have archives. Because everything's live when it's on radio. If you miss it, it's gone, Whereas now that it's being filmed, sometimes there's podcasts, which are just another form of radio, if you think about it. People can now archive that type of moment, it doesn't leave you. And converging traditional forms of media like radio, newspapers, magazines, which are dying out, but radio is the number one medium of media in Africa. And so it'll never die out, because no matter what happens, radio will always be there. Even if Armageddon happened, radio would still be around. So now it's just about making radio as an old school form of media come into the new school with all the other platforms and communication mediums, and it's just keeping up with them. So that's why we just advertise ourselves, and that's why we host competitions and events that are more interesting to you guys. We'll have OBs outside, we'll collaborate with like Red Bull and other brands to bring you guys things, so I think that's how we play our part.
Thank you. What strategies have you employed to get users to listen to the station?
That's a very interesting question. No, because there's a whole marketing team, so we don't need to worry about that, but it's just promoting the station. Most of the people who work for UJFM have a bit of a following, whether it's on one platform or another. So they usually post their clips and then promote the show. They promote the station ID, and they promote who's on there at what time, and they promote having special guests. We go out and find the guests mostly. If there's a celebrity out in the wilderness, I'll go approach them and say, please come onto my show. And that's also a form of promotion because the celebrity then reposts all the content. So I'd say that's how we do it as presenters, but there is a marketing and social media team.
Okay, thank you. And then finally, what other platforms have been your biggest competition? Is it other social media platform? Is it social media platforms in general? Or is it other like university radio stations?
If I'm honest, I think it's digitalization itself. We don't really compete with other stations because they're all in separate locations, Maybe our biggest student competitor here is VOW FM at Wits. But even then, we have two completely separate audiences. If I don't go to UJ, I'm not going to want to hear what's going on at UJ. If I don't go to Wits, I don't care about what's going on over there. So, and Tux FM's all the way in Pretoria. Like, we don't really compete unless it's like award time, award shows, But digitalization as a whole, people would rather put their switch their Bluetooth on and listen to their music, then tune into 95.4 and listen to UJFM. We don't even have CDs anymore to put into our cars. And people would rather listen to their music in the vehicle and then come home and put a podcast on while they're cooking instead of switching on their radio. No one, I think, even owns a physical radio anymore. It's just people's preferences. I think people are so burnt out, they don't really have time to put effort into listening to someone new or finding something on the radio when they know I really like these 5 songs and the drive to work is 20 minutes, I'm playing these. So just that. People would rather watch short form content, which is TikToks, instead of listen to a whole segment on radio for an hour. I'd just say that's our biggest competition, but otherwise I wouldn't say it's a dying medium as yet.
Thank you. And I have one more question. Do you find yourselves during your show like kind of catering your content and the way you speak and what you speak about for the short-term audience, for like short-term media? Like you said, you guys clip your shows to put it online. Do you guys find yourselves like maybe subconsciously or consciously like altering the way you speak or the things you speak about so that you can have that little 15-second clip that you can put online for people to engage with?
I'd say most definitely. You try and be as animated as possible because now you're being looked at. Because on radio you can sound really enthusiastic and have a straight face, whereas now there's a camera in the room. You need to just you need to be larger than life, and we're not used to that. So definitely there is the pressure to make the clip gold, or if we know someone important is coming and it's going to be a recorded interview, there is pressure to be perfect because that's going to be shared on multiple platforms across multiple places. Sometimes it goes international, and that's a lot of pressure, so there is definitely that pressure.
thank you very much for
No
doing this
problem.
interview with us. We appreciate it
It was
a
a
lot.
pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.